Welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thank you so much for joining us. When we prepare for a crap hitting the fan, I mean, you name it, EMP, war, severe economic crash, whatever the case may be, obviously we want to set things aside and prepare for whatever might come. But I find that when it comes to preparedness, there are 7 critical items that you need to set aside that most preppers either don't think about or they don't truly know exactly how to do it. So let's go through it. 7 things. Number 1, a good pair of gloves. And I'm not going to limit this to simply just one type of glove. You can see a couple different here. This glove, these are my hunting gloves. They're actually tactical gloves. They keep my hands warm during hunting. But notice they have these knuckle protectors. They're not really knuckle protectors, by the way, even though that's what they advertise. Therefore, if you need to punch someone, it does a little bit more damage, but of course they don't advertise it that way. But they're great tactical gloves. You can feel a lot through them, and it keeps your hands pretty warm. Over here, I have some Chevy gloves. I got these at a yard sale for $2. They work really well. I mean, they're not very well worn. That's because for Chevy, they tend to actually last quite a while, apparently, compared to other car manufacturers. That's a little joke there. But, you know, having leather gloves is really good, too. Even if you have a pair of leather gloves that's insulated on the inside, that's even better, especially if you live up north. But having at least one pair of really good gloves is important, but you may want to have 2 or 3 different pair depending on the situation. Hunting, tactical, working, or if it's insulated, working out during the winter. So definitely have a good pair of gloves. Number 2, eye protection. In many cases, if not most cases, your regular glasses, if you wear glasses that is, can actually function very well. Often they're plastic instead of glass, so it reduces the risk of something breaking into your eye, and they do offer protection. But even if you just get some cheapy eye protection, some cheapy eye goggles, it'll mean all the difference. The last thing you want to do, especially in a very serious situation, is have something go into your eye, even if it's just one eye, causing you temporary blindness or even pain. I'm sure you've got something in your eye before. So having some eye goggles is essentially important. It's essential. You want to have something that's going to protect your eyes for whatever is blowing in that direction, keeping your eyes safe and protected. Number 3, bleach. Now, people do often think of bleach. First off, you want to make sure you don't have any type of gel or scented bleach. But people always have this idea of how many drops of bleach it takes to like purify water or to sanitize a surface. And the answer is, there is no set number anymore. If you look on the bleach, it tells right here what % of actual free chlorine is inside this bleach. This one is 6% of sodium hypochlorite, or specifically 5.7% of free chlorine. That percentage is vitally important. So it's not simply just having bleach, again, non-gel or scented, but the concentrated bleach, and there's different concentrations now. There's not just one set. After this video is over, I'll link another one that tells you what concentrations to use to purify your water. But again, it's not just water. You want to be able to purify lots of things with bleach because it does very well. Number 4, a compass with maps. This video is not dedicated to showing you how to use a compass with maps, but for the fact that we're so connected with GPS now, people are losing the art or the skill of reading maps. And that's a very big mistake, because understand our GPS is not made for civilians. It's a military application, and they simply have it open up to civilian population, which means they could easily turn this off to civilian population if they wanted to as well. Keep that in mind. I have some simple compasses. You don't have to have a really sophisticated one. These are really inexpensive. Again, I'll put a link below. And we have a whole bunch of these. Everybody in the family has one, or even multiple. But it's actually very simple to use, very light, which is nice for your backpack. Or you could get a more sophisticated one. I love this compass. And having a way where you can look through it, this is a view piece here as well, to be able to determine your direction you're going. Obviously could be essential, because it's not simply just a matter of wandering through the forest, whatever might be happening to you as far as bucking out goes, but having a compass that can actually give you directions again. It's not simply just owning the compasses, but knowing how to use them. When it comes to maps, there's a couple options you could do too. One, go to your local visitors bureau, or possibly a rest stop near your house, travel areas, and they often have maps of your area, or even sometimes the entire state, for free, and you can pick those up. I personally like some of the bigger ones like this. This is actually a map just for southern Michigan, and more specifically, this map lists all the different fishing areas, all the areas you can actually go to for like open area for hunting and such. And not only that, but it's not simply saying it's open for fishing, but typically the kind of fish that are caught there. And this is all for the southern half of Michigan. And there's many more of these maps coming out. In addition, I love topographical maps. Not only can you actually see on the topographical maps which way to go as far as the magnetic declination and true north, but also contours to know if you're actually heading into some kind of cliff or some serious uphill areas. I'll put links for those as well. But and again, I plan on doing videos in the future this summer where I will show you some very simple map navigation, especially using compasses, because I find most people don't really know how to use them. They think they do, but when they get into it, there's things that they're doing that's incorrect. But I want to make it so in case you do fall upon having to actually use a compass and a map, you're not left in the dark. Number 5, documents. And the list goes on and on for the kind of documents you might want to pack possibly in a fireproof bag, or at least have readily available in case you need to evacuate. Everything obviously, including driver's licenses, marriage certificates, birth certificates, discharge papers from the military. But well beyond that, bills, credit card statements, utilities, and the list goes on and on. In the description below, we have a link in which we sell what's called a full preparedness pack, which includes all kinds of possible documents where you simply write in what you need to as far as it helps you organize all your information, and you can print it out and keep it in your bag. It's pretty minimal as far as the price goes, but it helps the family out, our channel out if you want to do that. But you don't have to use that, obviously. Anytime you need any type of record whatsoever that's vital for you and your family, make a copy of it and put it in a separate spot in case you need that kind of thing. Number 6, manual can openers. And I do use the term can openers, plural. You want to have a few. Not only a few as far as number, but also a few as far as variety goes. Here's just a really simple kitchen aid. You probably have one that's very similar to this. They work really well in popping open the cans. A lot of people have electric can openers too. We have one. But we always have this in case we simply just want to do it the old-fashioned way. These do work well. Or more so, you can actually get what's called a P51 for those military types out there. These are amazing. They're a lot of work. It's, basically going through and popping through the can and popping it open. I'll put a link for these as well. We always have a bunch of these. In fact, we keep a bunch of these in everybody's backpack and bug out bags in the house because they're that inexpensive. They're so light, so easy to use. Granted, this is easier to use, but it's actually quite heavy and quite bulky. It takes up a lot of space. These don't. So everybody's backpack in our house has at least a couple of these P51s. Either way, makes you have some manual can openers to be able to get cans open. Now, if you don't have a can opener, you can actually take a can, by the way, and just rub it on a rock over and over again. It'll eventually wear down and break the seal on the top of the can. So that's an option as well. Number 7, a good pair of shoes or hiking boots. Look at this incredibly well-worn hiking boot. It's from New Balance. I want to show you a couple things on this. I'm not necessarily endorsing just New Balance, although I used to love them because they put orthotics built into the shoes, and now you slip in the orthotics to give you arch support. But New Balance shoes or any type of boot that really fits your foot well, that's what you want to go for. And I'll tell you right now, price, I'm not saying price is no object, but spending the money to get a pair of hiking boots that fits you well is so important. Not to mention, you want to talk about weatherproofing. This one actually has a little bit of Gore-Tex in it. I know a lot of people take that spray and they want to make their boots waterproof. You ever done this before? Don't. Because when you spray that whole boot down, it literally sets it up so it doesn't breathe and it causes more troubles in the long run. If you are going to spend some time on the street, maybe you're actually in an urban setting and you may have to bug out, a pair of hiking boots may not be your best thing because you want to be inconspicuous. But if you're going to spend some time out in the wilderness per se, having the right pair of hiking boots is important because people think sometimes hiking boots are hiking boots, and that's not true at all. If you do a lot of rugged, rocky hiking, you want to make sure that your boot does not bend very well. This one did a lot better in the past, but of course it's well worn. But the more it bends, the worse it is when it comes to rocky terrain. You want to have one that actually has a very stern, very sturdy sole on it, so that way it can absorb all the different rocks and everything. Some people actually like the ankle boots as well, and that's what we had in the military. But having a really good pair of boots, or again, shoes if you're more in urban, is so important, and it's something that should not be overlooked. not to mention extra socks as well. But I'm sure there's some other things as well. What would you put in the list? Put it in the comments below. I'd love to see what you think are very critical things that most people don't think about that you must have for the day crap hits the fan. Thank you for watching.